Welcome into the amateur hour. The Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Contractors. Jimmie Allen and Casey Matthews following Creighton 92-76 victory over South Dakota at home, Casey. And albeit 92 points, albeit almost a 20-point victory, there's still a lot of things that this coaching staff are going to be able to fix, look back at the end of this game. It wasn't the most polished of performances, but you still had some really good things on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. Obviously, Owen Freeman in his debut as a Blue Jay comes out with 19 points, goes 9 of 11, very efficient from the field, and also had 4 boards along the way. I think the one thing that stood out to me about this team was the lack of presence inside early in this game. It kind of felt like they figured that out specifically in transition with Owen, but I think defensively, I think it's going to be different when you get Karam Cohen and Jason Green back and all of that. But with that being said, I think they got some stuff to figure out in the paint.
I couldn't agree more. I think we're even or just about even on points in the paint, right? So that's an issue for me.
With Owen Freeman getting 19 points down there, by the way.
Right. And against a team that just, frankly, like they just shouldn't be able to score like that around the rim. You think coming into this game, I think it was our last exhibition game, they hit 2 threes. So Mac and Seth knew and definitely coached, like they're not a great perimeter shooting team. So if they're going to beat you, they're going to beat you off the dribble. They're going to beat you in the paint. They made 31 shots. They had 7 assists. That's not a team that's sharing the ball and making that extra pass and hitting perimeter jump shots.
Almost one-dimensional in some degree.
I think that's a good way to put it, right? They're trying to drive. They're trying to take the ball to the rim and score. And defensively, frankly, we just didn't have a lot of resistance. And that's worrisome. I'm not in any way panicked or sky's falling. I think, and this is something we'll talk about with, I think it's maybe Murph that's coming on, when you go back
Great assistant coach Steve Murfeld's going to join us up here in the booth here in just a few minutes.
And you go back and look at our openers, historically, right? Last year, the Elite 8 year, we played St. Thomas and won by 12. Okay, another Summit League team. Our first Sweet 16 year, we played North Dakota State, won by 11. Okay, the year we lost to Kansas in the round of 32, we played Arkansas Pine Bluff and lost by 13.
Won by 13, you mean?
I'm sorry, all these we won. My apologies. Yeah. I could be dumb. That's
relevant in this moment.
And then last year, although I did call it on the spread, and then last year we played UTRGV and won by 13. So there's absolutely zero need to panic here or think like how we only won by 16. We didn't cover the spread. We're doomed. Like we're fine. There's still work that's got to be done. There's no question about that. But Jason Green is very important to our team right now. I think it's you could argue he's the most important piece because
what we saw in the paint tonight.
Yeah, and because of defensively, he's your Swiss Army knife, and he can do some things that there's just nobody else on our team that can do. So, again, I think it's easy to nitpick, but it's a first game. I think you got to keep that into perspective. There are some good things too, from this team. I think what I liked the most was the way we came out in the second half and really pushed in transition.
Yeah.
Owen Freeman, I thought, set the tone in that regard. There was one possession in particular that he just flat out sprinted down the court, got the ball, laid it in for a layup. And it just felt like, okay, we know we got to come out with some urgency. We got to come out and play hard in order to win this game. And I thought they did it. So that was encouraging. I said it, I guess whoever it was that wrote in, are we going to cover the spread? I'm not a big sports bettor, but the thing in these games you got to always keep in mind with that stuff is late in games when you have a lead like this, you're going to put some guys in that just aren't offensive juggernauts. They're going to play hard. They're going to do what they're asked to do. But
Liam McChesney got in.
Which we're going to call that move. The spin move before you catch it, the McChesney. I love it.
And Liam got in, and then Shane Thomas got in for a little bit. Both those guys a little more defensive specialists, obviously. Not going to put up a ton of points. But to your point a minute ago, feel free to leave us a comment. Go ahead and leave a comment
would love that.
On YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. It'll appear on the screen. We'll get to your comments as the show rolls on. This is the Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors. Great assistant coach Steve Murfeld going to join us here shortly. Something I wanted to talk to you about, something you and I were both saying up here as the game was going on, because we tend to coach under our breath from time to time, is one more. And it was something that I seen the guys down the floor, specifically repping in shoot around, was just repping one more pass. Why in this offense is it so important to get that hockey pass, to get that extra pass, to find the open shooter in Greg McDermott's system specifically?
Yeah, well, one, it's a higher percentage shot, but also I think an even bigger part for me is just the mentality and it just creates, so in a weird way, it creates camaraderie by unselfishness.
Good call.
And it's something that is preached. We have drills that we would do to kind of really set the tone in that regard, because there's good shots, but then typically if you have a good shot and somebody's closing out, that one more pass is going to lead to a great shot. And again, sounds cheesy, but great shots go in more often than good shots. So you want to make that one more, because then what happens is when that guy's in the position where he can make the one more, he's going to make that one more pass, and it just spreads, and it becomes a staple of your
contagious.
team. 100%. Yeah.
Unbiased Boxing Talk on YouTube said we have a slow team, big but slow. And listen, that was kind of the one thing that stood out. And this team in the first half didn't necessarily look as athletic as it did in the second half. I thought the tempo picked up and they played a lot faster in the second half. With that being said, I think it is incredibly important to remember that this is game number one for a lot of these guys for the first time in a Blue Jay uniform. Yes, I understand there were 2 exhibitions against probably more talented teams than this one that they saw tonight, but there was an understanding of reps and how things were together. I mean, the fact that we got halfway through the second half and Austin Swartz hadn't checked into the game yet in the second half, I think was a little bit concerning, because how often we saw him checking in during those scrimmages. And to me, I think he's a very pivotal cog in the wheel for the rest of the season. I would be really surprised to see if that's the case going forward. Not only do these guys on the floor have to figure the system out and get used to real reps and playing against other teams that are trying to win also, as you like to say so often, but also this coaching staff has got to get a good idea of what these rotations are going to look like together. And specifically tonight, you were missing 2 important pieces for the rest of the season, Karam Cohen and Jason Green. So, like, I think it's important to point out a lot of what you saw tonight may not be what you see going down the stretch either.
Agreed. And when you have 2 guys, one's playing typically going to play the 4 and one's going to play, I would think, strictly 5. You know, when you have both of those guys out, it creates even more issues, because now you see Isaac having to play out of position a little bit, even though I've kind of beat the drum for him, and I think he should be a 5. I do. Okay. But it does. It just creates, you get guys playing out of position. You got guys playing you have JTT playing more minutes tonight than probably ever, in an actual game. And that won't continue once you have Karam in there. And so, I mean, look, I think
Joshua Thomas had 6 points in 5 minutes, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, and look, JTT plays hard. Like you can't take that away from him. But look, you didn't sign Owen Freeman. You didn't go out and get Karam for no reason.
Yeah, and listen, that Owen Rosen wants to know, how did you guys look without Kalk on defense? And I think that's going to be the big question going forward, right?
Is that the big O?
It is.
The big O's watching the show. What's up, man? Look.
That's the question this team has to answer, though, right? What does defense in Omaha at Creighton University look like without number 11 in the middle? And tonight, I don't think we got the answer to that question full staff. But the other thing about this, we talked about this before the game, is Hudson Greer, the one freshman in this class, was in street clothes, and there's discussion about a possible redshirt. But Aleska Dimitrovic, the Serbian 7'1" player, also sounds like he's going to redshirt, according to Jays 24/7 as well.
Yeah, we've got a guy, I don't know who it is. Maybe he's watching. If you're watching, let us know. That comments on some of our shows about Aleska, and I've tried to say he's not going to be a factor this year. And I'm not that guy typically that beats his chest, but I'm beating my chest that he's not going to be a factor. But no, look, Big O. I mean, you love hoops and this league. It's different without Kalkbrenner. It just is. And when you see, you see what he's doing in the NBA right now, and I think he's leading all rookies in block shots, and
he's second in the league in block shots.
Second in the league, and he's leading the league, I think, in effective field goal percentage.
Correct.
So, like,
not for rookies, the entire NBA.
Yeah, he's not just big.
Yeah.
But anyways, no, I mean, I think, look, what's gonna make you do is it's gonna make you scout ball screens differently, because you're gonna have to be prepared for adjustments.
Yeah.
Whereas you really didn't have to be prepared for adjustments before, because Kalk was going to play 32 to 35 minutes and he was going to be in drop coverage the entire time. There weren't going to be adjustments unless something happened and Kalk gets fouled, Kalk gets hurt, then you got to back up in and you got to figure it out. What you saw tonight is we were still in that drop coverage, even with Owen, which is what I have been saying all summer that I thought we would be. A little bit more of the hard hedges, a little bit, even some half court traps when JTT was in.
Yep.
So some differences there, right? But it's all rotation based and roster based. I do still think when Owen's in the game, we're going to stay in that drop coverage. I think it was right before the end of the first half. Owen was in coverage. I mean, awful defense, honestly. He
got lost. He got spin cycled. He got lost on the switch.
He did, but then it just gave zero resistance. It's just a layup at the rim. We brought it down, scored. Matt calls a timeout and lights in to Owen and takes him out of the game. Okay. Mark,
but you have to wonder if that's part of the reason why he didn't start tonight too. Things like that.
You don't know. And actually, it looked like Huss might be on his way up here. He was walking across the court, so maybe it's Coach Huss tonight. We'll see. But
I blame Steve Murfield if it's not Steve Murfield. I'm sorry if I hope you see this. It's your fault. Go ahead.
It's a long walk for sure. Coach. But anyways, the point being is the defensively it's going to be very different. You don't want to give up 76 points to South Dakota. That's a fact. But he played. I mean, I swear he's here for 25 years, right? Like I don't even remember watching Creighton basketball without him. So it's going to be different. Mac will figure it out. Huss will figure it out. That won't be a problem. The issue that I really have more than anything is probably our athleticism, and we'll have to get to Huss on that. Do you want to? Should we go to a commercial before?
We'll take a quick commercial break, and it's like a future head coach, Alan Huss.
I think so. The Big O watching the show, man. Thanks, Owen.
We appreciate it, guys. Yeah, and Unbiased Boxing Talk. We appreciate it. If you're watching the show and you have a question for Alan Huss, he's on his way up here. Get him in now. We'll be right back. This is the Roll Jays podcast on Big East Energy Network, brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors.
Why you need to try Pepper Jack's Grill, the best Philly cheesesteak in America. At Pepper Jack's Grill, we craft your Philly just the way you like it. Fresh ingredients, sizzling on the grill, and endless customization options. Not just Phillies, we've got rice bowls, burritos, nachos, and even vegetarian choices. And don't forget those crispy fries with our famous spicy ranch. With 10 great locations in Omaha, there's a delicious meal waiting for everyone in the family. Pepper Jack's Grill, your Philly, your way.
At Pyramid Contractors, we do it all. From repairing or replacing your roof to updating siding, windows, or gutters. When you have a home improvement project, call Pyramid Contractors.
PyramidRoof.com, never settle for less.
Welcome back into the Roll Jays podcast, brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors. Jimmie Allen and Casey Matthews coming to you after Creighton's 92-76 victory over the Coyotes out of South Dakota. Greg McDermott's 500th win against Division I opponents at Creighton. Obviously, congratulations to Coach. Just another incredible milestone in an incredible career. But I think the story of this game, maybe the story from a positive standpoint, it's kind of hard to nitpick a 92-point turnout, but we did. I think for me is that there was just more assertion in my mind that Nick Graves is going to be the focal point of this offense this season.
Yeah, I think Nick's really asserted himself as the point guard on the squad, and it was something that I think there was some I don't know if worry is the right word, but there was definitely some concern. Early in the offseason, even middle of the offseason, was like, do we have a true point guard, right now? And so to see him go out and play the way he's played, not only tonight, but in those exhibition games, and really assert himself as the floor general, is really encouraging. Again, this is not an easy offense. It's not an easy team to run because we do play so fast.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many teams where you have the luxury of walking the ball up the court. Your head coach is going to give you a play. You can get into the action and go. For this team, it doesn't work that way. When you get the rebound, you're gone.
You have to run. Yeah.
Mac's telling you to go. You're having, and what that does is you need a point guard that can make decisions quicker and that can put the guys in the position to execute the offense. So there's our guy. So yeah.
We're having some technical difficulties. Creighton assistant coach Alan Huss is going to join us when we come back. We'll take a quick break. Be right back.
Why you need to try Pepper Jack's Grill, the best Philly cheesesteak in America. At Pepper Jack's Grill, we craft your Philly just the way you like it. Fresh ingredients, sizzling on the grill, and endless customization options. Not just Phillies, we've got rice bowls, burritos, nachos, and even vegetarian choices. And don't forget those crispy fries with our famous spicy ranch. With 10 great locations.
At Pyramid Contractors, we do it all, from repairing or replacing your roof to updating siding, windows, or gutters. When you have a home improvement project, call Pyramid Contractors.
Why you need to try Pepper Jack's Grill, the best Philly cheesesteak in America. At Pepper Jack's Grill, we craft your Philly just the way you like it. Fresh ingredients, sizzling on the grill, and endless customization options. Not just Phillies, we've got rice bowls, burritos, nachos, and even vegetarian choices. And don't forget those crispy fries with our famous spicy ranch. With 10 great locations in Omaha, there's a delicious meal waiting for everyone in the family. Pepper Jack's Grill, your Philly, your way.
Welcome back to the Roll Jays podcast. Apologize about that. Our equipment came unplugged. The Creighton assistant coach Alan Huss now joins us. Creighton wins 92-76 over South Dakota tonight. Coach, officially the first start of the season back in Omaha. You get to see this team for the first time tonight in live action. What was your biggest takeaway from the night?
I don't know if there's a ton to take away from this. We weren't hooked up really from the start. Didn't guard the bounce like we needed to. Didn't rebound the basketball like we needed to. It's interesting when you play these non-conference games. Teams that play a little differently. They really pressed. They kept us out of transition, and really, I think, just kind of took our rhythm away a little bit with their pressure defensively. But obviously, there's no excuse for not guarding the dribble better than we did, and just not having a couple of our 5 men in there that put fires out. Our pick and roll defense on a number of occasions was messed up. Just some miscommunications between switching and some of our other methods defensively. It led to some really deep lane touches and put us in some scramble situations. Just overall, probably not exactly what we're looking for. I think we understand that before we hook it up next time, we gotta make some dramatic improvements.
Yeah, I think, Coach. I mean, obviously, it's a little bit tough to see up here, as you can tell. But the thing that
We've got a great view.
the thing that I was thinking more, and you kind of touched on it, is it felt like defensively the communication was lacking tonight. And we've talked about that a little bit on our show. Of, you lose a Stephen Hackworth to graduation. You lose a Ryan Kalkbrenner. The one staple I think of the program is having a point guard that can lead and communicate. And now you're trying to figure out who that leader is going to be. Did you see anything tonight in the kind of the response? Like I felt like the beginning of the second half it came out with more urgency, ran in transition. Did you see anything that kind of give you some positivity that it can be fixed?
Yeah, I mean, I think the positivity didn't come from what you saw tonight. I think we've had some stretches in practice where we've really hooked it up and trying to be connected defensively. Tonight just wasn't it. I mean, for whatever reason, we weren't hooked up like we needed to be. But maybe credit to South Dakota State or South Dakota. I'm sorry that they play a very unconventional style. And the one thing we don't do a lot typically, we did it some tonight because it was so easy to get to spots offensively. But typically our offense is predicated on ball movement. They kind of move it once. They start to kind of eye you up, and then they drive it as hard as they can. That's something we don't typically play, to guard against every day in practice. And I thought it caught us a little bit off guard. But as I mentioned before, like we had some odd lineups. We had IT and Jackson, who pretty much switched 1 through 4 ball screens, pretty much trying to do some different things. We only found out basically when practice that Jason wasn't going to be with us. So it changed what we were doing from a communication standpoint on at least a probably half dozen or maybe even a few more of those breakdowns in communication where had those guys in some positions that we haven't practiced a ton. In addition to all that, though, you guard the guy in front of you, and then when a shot goes up, hit him. If we're not talking about overly complex systems, terminology, or concepts here, we're talking about guard the guy in front of you and get the rebound.
I asked Casey this question. I'd love to get your thoughts. We talk about how important that extra pass is in this system. Can you explain from your standpoint why getting that one more pass in is so important and how that can fix a lot of problems?
I know we actually did a decent job after the first half of making it tonight. I mean, it's kind of what we do. It's you got to, unselfish play is contagious, and at the same time, so is selfish play. And so for us, we've got to trust. We've got some guys that are very dependent on others making advantages for them. They're elite play finishers. When you have guys like that, they've got to be able to rely on those one-mores finding them. I thought we did a decent job of that tonight. We got to shoot the basketball a little bit better, but that's way down our list of concerns. Like we've got to guard the guy in front of us, and we got to rebound the basketball. We got to play with a little bit more urgency. We got to just be a little tougher. Like we got the basketball taken from us probably 4 or 5 times, and we just didn't get the basketball in our chin after gaining a rebound. We got to be better. I mean, that's just what it really comes down to. And probably more important than that, we got to be a little bit more physical.
Yeah, I think it's a great call. And to touch on the assist thing too, we had 20 assists on 37 made. I thought we shared the ball. I actually thought our shot selection was fine. I didn't see anything out there that really led me to believe it wasn't. What I offensively took away maybe like a concern is we had some back cuts where we found the open man. We didn't really even try to finish it at the rim. And is that some of that physicality maybe you're talking about, or is that more athleticism? That's something that kind of –
Yeah, I'd have to probably watch the plays again and have a better idea. But I was more concerned with some of just our lack of urgency getting to spots and just getting the ball to the second side of the floor. It's always challenging when you play these teams because – we oftentimes don't, when we're playing the meat and potatoes of our schedule, we don't have that qualitative advantage on wings where we could just throw the ball in the wing and say, all right, go by him.
Yeah.
We've got to be a little bit more scheme based, a little bit more ball movement based. Tonight we had that. We had some huge advantages where we could just kind of go at a mismatch. Being overly reliant on that is probably not a strong, that's probably not a great plan going into the season because we're not going to be able to do that when we play the teams. Starting on Tuesday at Gonzaga, we're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, they might be pretty good in the wing. Yeah.
So we've got to be a little bit more ball movement. People a little bit more reliant on ball movement, a little bit more reliant on player movement. We've got to get to spots with urgency. We got to move it. And then we can get into hopefully creating an advantage and getting into those one-more situations.
Austin Swartz is a guy we saw a ton from in those scrimmages, and he was kind of limited in minutes specifically in the second half tonight. What have you guys seen from him as a guy that's coming into this program in the first year that gives you guys hope about him maybe kind of catching up to the system sooner rather than later?
Yeah, Austin's just got to be a little bit more consistent. He was playing about as well as anybody in our team a couple weeks ago. He's had probably not quite as good at the last 10 days of practice. I think what you saw out of him was the perfect example of that tonight. I thought he gave us really about as good a minutes as he possibly could in the first half. Then I thought the second half he regressed a little bit. And I think if you ask Coach Mack, and I don't want to speak for him, if you ask Coach Mack, I think he'd tell you, if you're an inconsistent practicer, you typically perform on game nights in an inconsistent way. So we got to get him to be a little bit more, just a little bit more hooked up day in and day out in practice. And he's a guy that can really create some of those advantages that, like I talked about, our guys need to be effective offensively. He's a guy that can generate advantage every time he's on the floor. And so we need to have him be a little bit better and be a little bit better every day in practice.
As we try to get you out of here, turn the page to Gonzaga. I know you and how much fun you watch. Can you give the people that are watching that will watch this maybe 1 or 2 keys that you have?
I'm going to tell you that they're better than South Dakota definitively.
Do you feel comfortable saying that?
I do.
Okay, all right.
That's no disrespect to South Dakota. They were hooked up tonight and played pretty hard, but off a 1-day rest, which is a challenge. But we're going to go into an environment that's going to be really challenging, really tricky. The last series we played with them, both times we were leading at halftime, and then they were able to, with their depth, pull away from us. Their early post-ups, that's where everything starts them. Their transition game is about as fast up and down the floor as us, but it's way more physical. It's way more starts at the head of the rim. If we're not prepared to fight a little harder at the head of the rim at the point of attack in their transition game, it won't be close. It'll be ugly, and we'll have to learn a lesson the hard way. So we've got to start with that. We got to deal with the post. We got to fight it a little bit, and then obviously they could potentially be more physical on the glass than we saw tonight. The team we gave up 3,000 offensive rebounds to.
I have to ask the obvious question. You guys won tonight, right?
We did.
Okay, all right. So I just wanted to make sure that got correctly printed on the sheet.
Before before you go, do you have anything you want to say to the people that are watching this?
You know what? I mean, Papillion, I actually was there the other day. I saw the new, what's it called? What's the city center deal? Looked pretty neat.
Oh,
The Pavilion Landing. The
Yeah,
Pavilion,
it looked pretty neat. Looked like a good place for the Matthews family to hang out. If there's
Call me
others,
next time.
if there's others of you in Papillion that live there, I'd like to meet you. I've now met 2.
Yeah, that's us. All right. That's Creighton assistant coach Alan Huss. Coach, congratulations on the win that you guys achieved tonight. And hopefully you guys are get ready for Gonzaga and look a little more up to your standards by the time you get there.
We'll hook it up tomorrow starting at 2:30. I think Mac, you saw him pretty animated tonight. You're going to see him. You're going to see a fired up Mac tomorrow.
We'll wrap up the show when we come back. It's the Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contract.
Why you need to try Pepper Jack's Grill, the best Philly cheesesteak in America. At Pepper Jack's Grill, we craft your Philly just the way you like it. Fresh ingredients, sizzling on the grill, and endless customization options. Not just Phillies, we've got rice bowls, burritos, nachos, and even vegetarian choices. And don't forget those crispy fries with our famous spicy ranch. With 10 great locations in Omaha, there's a delicious meal waiting for everyone in the family. Pepper Jack's Grill, your Philly, your way.
At Pyramid Contractors, we do it all. From repairing or replacing your roof to updating siding, windows, or gutters. When you have a home improvement project, call Pyramid Contractors.
PyramidRoof.com, never settle for
Why you need to try Pepper Jack's Grill, the best Philly cheesesteak in America. At Pepper Jack's Grill, we craft your Philly just the way you like it. Fresh ingredients, sizzling on the grill, and endless customization options. Not just Phillies, we've got rice bowls, burritos, nachos, and even vegetarian choices. And don't forget those crispy fries with our famous spicy ranch. With 10 great locations in Omaha, there's a delicious meal waiting for everyone in the family. Pepper Jack's Grill, your Philly, your way.
Welcome back to the Roll Jays podcast. Brought to Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors. Thank you to head coach and waiting, Creighton assistant coach Alan Huss. It sucked that he wasn't very honest.
I love him. I love him because how many people would come up here and be like, oh, I mean, we try to do it.
Sure.
Right? We try to spin it a little bit. But he comes up, he just tells them like it is. And I can just tell you, I used to be 2 offices down from him. You'd walk in the office after a day like this, and how you doing, Coach? But I'm doing great, Case. How are you? I don't think we're very good last night, Coach. Like, yeah. He was just, and
he'd tell you why.
Dry humor. He's fantastic, and he's going to be an amazing head coach. But he's right. He's right, and I think like.
I mean, I didn't appreciate the hate on our small town of Papillion, but it's fine.
So the joke at the Papillion thing is.
I know.
When I moved here, Mac hired me, and they were all telling me to live in West O, and I was like, all right, whatever. I'm looking for a place and found a spot in Papillion. And so he ended up asking me, he's like, hey, where do you live at? So I'm in Papillion. He's like, people actually live there. Yeah, people live there.
We live there. We don't live together, but
it's been a running joke ever since. But no, he's awesome. Look, the team didn't look good. I appreciated what he said.
Sure.
In that they weren't tough tonight. They weren't locked up tonight. And I'm going to give the guys an excuse because he's not going to, and Mac isn't going to. It's the first game. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of people in this building a lot of players on this team looking around this building like, man, this is pretty cool. It was a good crowd for an opener. Great shout out to the student section.
Yeah, how about that tonight? Listen, the J student section gets a lot of flack for games that aren't quote big games. They showed up in spades tonight. Good job.
But here's the other thing: is they know what's waiting for them on Tuesday.
Yeah, and
it's just easy to look past it.
Well, it goes back to a word we've thrown around a ton in this offseason. It's expectations, right? Like everybody has talked about the talent and the depth on this team and what expectations should be. The discussion about going all in for what could be Greg McDermott's last season has been talked about a lot. And on paper, this team looks like it should be somewhere in the top 3 upper echelon of the Big East. That's not what it looked like tonight. Like I know the scoreboard reflects 92 points and it was almost a 20-point victory, but competition matters, and who you're going up against and what it looks like next time is maybe the most important part.
But you know what? Like, I don't know if you got a chance to watch UConn, but I did, and I watched it in spurts. And Coach Hurley apparently apologized to the people as he left the court because he didn't like the way his team played. I don't think that this team, I don't think Max apologizing to anybody.
Sure,
but just like UConn was missing some really important pieces. and so are we. So I'm just, look, am I disappointed? Sure, I wanted us to play better. I wanted it to look better. But am I worried? Not really. I mean, I went through our openers, over the last 5 or 6 years. Like, we have a history of this. And so I trust Matt completely, and I just trust that he'll get this team where we need to be, when we need to be there.
Well, I caution everybody before the season starts. Like, no matter what happens on Tuesday, and I know Huss doesn't want to hear this, I know Mac does. Nobody on this team wants to hear this. I'm talking to the folks that are watching at home right now and are commenting on our YouTube stream. There's been a repetition of it starts slow, mid-January happens, it ramps up, and things look a whole lot more polished. Mm-hmm. And I caution everybody who thinks the sky may be falling tonight that RELAX, things are going to be just fine. And it's interesting to find out from Huss that they didn't know they weren't going to have Jason until probably about 12 hours ago. And that obviously throws a giant wrench into the, because I agree with you. I think he might be the most important part of this puzzle this season. Yeah, I agree.
But we got the Big O. Big O asked us another question. How do you guys feel about McAndrews being 33% for 3, 2 for 7? I'm fine. I thought he took good shots.
Yeah, no, and I apologize. Casey's not his strong suit's not reading, so we'll try to get that more polished next time. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm kind of stammered through that a little bit.
Well, but no, I'm fine with it. Look, I thought he took good shots. I think at this point, that's what you're looking for. Do we need him to be in that, I don't know, 38 to 40% range for this team to reach its potential and be able to beat UConn, be able to beat St. John's, be able to beat Gonzaga on Tuesday? Yes. However, again, right now, I think it's, can you run the offense? Can you get the shots that you're looking for? In this game, that's what you need. If you're taking bad shots against this team, then I'm worried. But I felt like the shot selection was fine. So no, Big O, I'm not concerned, and I feel okay.
Yeah, and again, it's also game number 1. Mm-hmm. Like if
we won.
And we won. And if we're heading into if this is a conversation in a Big East tournament game where you have to have those shots, yeah, I'd probably be a little bit concerned. I'm not concerned at all with Jackson at all. Well, guys, we appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. Thank you to Creighton assistant coach Alan Huss for coming up and having a conversation with us. We will be back in away game fashion on Tuesday night for the Gonzaga game. Creighton assistant coach Jeff Vanderloo is scheduled to join us after the game for that. Hopefully you can join us as well. Thanks for watching. This has been the Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors.